Hello and welcome to another episode of Dubai Real Estate Unplugged, the official House and House podcast. I'm Luke Remington, Managing Director of the House and House Group. Today we have a special focus on two of Dubai's lesser mentioned yet highly sought after expat communities. Those are DAMAC Hills and Mudon. And joining me today are two experts in the area, Lewis and Neve. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome, guys. Lewis, you just told me you've got back from foreign travel, so you're a bit tired. But before going into this, tell us a bit about yourself so the listeners know a bit more about you.
Perfect. So my name's Lewis Brown. I've been in the real estate industry since 2011. 4 years in Dubai now, and I've specialised in DAMAC Hills and Mudon since then. Really enjoyed it since I've been here, and passion is really in real estate, to be honest.
That's nice. Neve, I always read your name and think, why is Neve spelt like that?
Different spelling, yeah.
It's a difficult spelling. Neve, tell us a bit about you.
So yeah, I've been in Dubai real estate here at House and House for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I was in real estate for a year and a half back home in the UK before I came. And yeah, I'm loving it since I've joined over here.
Brilliant. Guys, right, anyone new to Dubai or who doesn't know the different communities, let's start with an introduction to both of those areas. Lewis, you're the man to tell me about DAMAC Hills.
I am indeed.
Tell me a bit about it.
Cool. So
just an overview. I would know ranches better than DAMAC Hills, but let's say you've got someone that just wants a rough overview on it, you know, size, what's got to offer, that kind of thing.
Perfect. So DAMAC Hills is DAMAC's first villa community that they did. There's a huge range of properties there, from 3-bedroom units all the way up to 7-bedroom mansions now. It's a really good family area. There's a load of amenities across a huge 4 million square foot park. And yeah, it's just something that a lot of people don't quite know about. Most people know about it because of the golf course there, the Trump golf course. Yeah. But when you dig a bit deeper, you start to realize that it's a very good family community with a really nice sense of feel when you see all the families around with the kids, all of the swimming pools that are full on the weekends. And yeah, it's just, for me, it's a really underrated and good community.
I'll dig a bit deeper on that after, but located? How can you explain the location for someone that isn't really that familiar with Dubai? Sure.
So if you don't quite know the ins and outs of Dubai, you've got your main areas like ranches that you just mentioned going up Mesquite Street. If you go 5-10 minutes further, you then come to DAMAC Hills, which then enters into what's called the Al Quadra corridor. Yeah. And you've got quite a few main communities up that way. DAMAC Hills is the largest of the first communities that you'll kind of come to. Right,
okay. That's well put. Neve, Mudon's close by?
Yep, so Mudon and Damac actually share an entry gate, so they are directly next door to each other. It's a smaller community than DAMAC Hills. It's mainly all just like townhouses, 3-bed townhouses up to kind of 5-bed standalone villas, and there is like one apartment building, but for sure mostly it would be like families. There's like a small community centre, big park. It's a lovely little community for families.
They share an entry gate.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, so what's quite rare is with most communities, they have their own, I kind of call them a quadrant of land that they're built within. Okay. But DAMAC Hills and Mudon were actually built within the same big square plot, and then they share it probably 65-35 in terms of landmass.
Okay.
And
in favour of DAMAC.
In favour of DAMAC, yeah. Okay.
Different developers.
Developers, yeah. Mudon's Dubai Properties, DAMAC Hills is DAMAC Properties.
DAMAC.
Yeah.
Is this something that I don't tend to see that often, where you get the same developer that will maybe have share the same gates and entrances? Do they look similar?
So in essence, you drive in from Al Quadra,
right,
and then you turn right and you've got the start of the DAMAC gate, yeah, and then you turn left and you've got the start of the Mudon development. So it's just the main offshoot off the highway, and then it splits into the two, but it's very rare that you'll find two developers sharing that land, yeah, and having those developments right next to each other.
Yeah, okay. And other than that one access, obviously with the traffic that's ever increasing in Dubai and the population, yeah, is it just one access?
No.
There are a few.
So in DAMAC, I believe there's 4 access points. In Mudon, there are 3.
Right, okay. Yeah. And how have those access points been over the last kind of, what would you say, it's probably last year that we've really seen that traffic increase Have you are you on these groups where residents are going absolutely berserk like I am about the traffic? And
it's definitely improved a lot since they improved that Ranches roundabout there. It's probably made it a slightly bit worse for Ranches. But for us, for sure, it made a huge difference with just you passing straight over now. You are queuing a lot less. Obviously, at peak times around rush hour, the Jebel Ali School is by like DAMAC Hills. The traffic can get a bit bad there on the Mudon side and the DAMAC side. But other than that, the traffic flow has improved quite a lot.
I've heard a lot of good things about that school. Are you speaking to many residents in the community that are sending their children to that school?
Huge amount of people are looking to move into the area, and they already have their sights set on the Jebel Ali School.
A non-profit school, I believe?
Yes, British curriculum as well. And people are moving to DAMAC Hills to get their kids close to it. In the past, people would not be too choosy on which cluster that they lived in. Now more people are focusing on the higher clusters like Pelham and Trinity that are a 5-minute walk from the school, just for ease.
Sorry, Pelham and Trinity. Sounds like superheroes. These are sub-communities.
On the park side of DAMAC Hills, they're just the names of two of the becoming more popular clusters.
Okay. How have you felt, going back to the schools, how have you felt over the years that you've worked, that has it become more of a priority for a buyer to say, I need to live within closer proximity? Whereas maybe going back 2-3 years, I felt that people would be more willing. Yeah, they would. It used to be, the road, maybe it was because the roads are quieter or I don't know. It's not necessary. I didn't see it as that much of a focal point that, okay, my child's going to school 30 kilometres away. If I find the right house, I'll deal with it because people have drivers, fortunately, or, whereas now at the moment, I seem to be hearing, and you're mentioning that people want to be in the community because of the school, and what has changed? Is it
people have a demand for like just easier accessibility? I think as the world progresses, everything is more and more on demand. People don't want to travel 20 minutes anymore to get to somewhere. They just want to be 10 minutes away. I think that's a huge part of it. And I think also people want to be in a really good school. So whereas before maybe they were a bit more, they would just kind of go to any school, but now there are so many good schools and like by good communities that they want to be really close to them.
Really good point. I think, with the schooling in Dubai, we've definitely seen, such a massive uplift in the last couple of years, right? And the standards seem to just be excelling. You've got the KHDA who are rating these schools. And
I had a client who just went on a viewing tour the other day and they viewed a few different schools and they were like, wow, I thought I had a good education. They were like, the schools here, they're a different level. They have every facility you could ever imagine. I was like, it's a different level.
Beyond. I was going into schools when I was looking for my children, and I don't know, I felt it would be like something out the Facebook movie with these auditoriums that are just like out of MIT or they just looked, and you're like, there's a 6-year-old that's going to be walking in here, right? It's something that was just so unfamiliar to me back in the UK, but the schooling is just to another level.
And the schools themselves are looking to expand as well. I mean, you look at King's Al Barshia. That's a major school that's pretty close to DAMAC Hills in the scheme of things, and they've just expanded by another probably about 20% on their actual buildings, which is, obviously really positive for the area, but it also shows the intention and the investment that these schools are putting into the education as well.
Lewis, DAMAC.
Yes.
I know we're going to typically, I think I know what you're going to say to me, but who are the people that are calling this place home? If someone's calling you, what's your typical caller going to sound or be like?
So the majority of people, they are families with children between the ages of 5 to 15. And there's been a big influx of pilots as well recently that are bringing their families from the Emirates or other airline accommodation to now DAMAC Hills, just because there's a sweet spot with their allowance from obviously the companies they work for compared to affordability. And it's just bringing more and more younger families through. And then with the bigger areas in Dubai or the more popular areas, say like your Dubai Hills that are becoming more expensive, DAMAC is still quite reasonably priced for the size of property you get, and there are a lot of renovated units coming through. So we're actually seeing a lot more younger couples looking for something that's fully turnkey, that's been fully upgraded. And I wouldn't say the dynamic of the area is changing, because it still is very family focused, but there are probably 5% of the properties that are being fully upgraded having these newer, younger generation of people coming through that don't have kids but want a really nice community lifestyle.
When were they handed? It would have been spanned over a couple of years. So when would they have been not launched but handed over to the first?
The original handover was 2017.
Okay.
DAMAC actually handed over the community slightly differently to some other developers you see. So, for instance, if you look at DAMAC Hills, you have Maple 1, 2 and 3 handed over as Maple 1, 2 and 3 in those phases. Whereas in DAMAC Hills, you've got all the different clusters were handed over within 2 years, but then there were another phase within that cluster that have only been handed over in the last year or so. So it has caused some complaints, to be honest.
Is that because you would have, someone's got the house in 2017 but they're still living next to
construction
exactly
site?
Wow.
And the nice thing is DAMAC have just launched their final phase of villas, so within the next 2 or 3 years there'll be a completely finished community. So that's obviously great because there's no more construction near your house, and once obviously the community is complete, that's when you start to see a bit more stability in prices as well.
Yeah.
So
you've mentioned, or I mentioned, it was probably the lesser mentioned community, and I think you've said sweet spot on price, and I think there's a few things that maybe the listener would be like, well, doesn't all sound that rosy, does it? If lesser mentioned community, sweeter spot on price, some being handed over in 2017, some being handed over in 2023.
Yeah.
Is it that great a place, or what is the issue? What is is there a problem?
So I think with this community, just to be completely honest, in 2017, it was DAMAC's first villa community ever handed over or ever built. So in the original 2 clusters, Brookfield and Whitefield, there were some issues with water pumps, ACs, drainage, etc.
Okay.
Those villas have now been lived in 5 years.
Yeah.
DAMAC in their later clusters have learned from the mistakes, and you're not seeing those same kind of issues coming through. So I do get quite a few clients bringing that up with me, but the community is probably at 98% capacity, like occupancy.
Yeah.
If all these issues were here and the place wasn't as good as people say it is, why would people be living there?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, in fairness to it, you're always going to have issues with the AC. You're always going to have issues with the water pumps. This is something that, I'm in an email. This is what happens, right? This is, I suppose it's like having your boiler back in the UK that you're using 90% of the year. It's gonna, if you're not servicing, it's gonna have problems. A lot of these problems are probably with properties that have been rented out and tenants haven't necessarily been looking after it like it's their own. So, but as a developer, DAMAC, they've attracted people in there. They've probably been it's been a difficult time. You've gone through that 2017 to 2024, which has been quite a turbulent period of, economic downturn, COVID. There's been quite a few things to throw in there. Neve, Mudon's very close by, as you mentioned, same gate. What are the similarities, differences between what Lewis is talking about in DAMAC and what you're doing in Mudon?
Yeah, I think in terms of like clientele, I think there's a massive crossover of the two. You are navigating around families. Mudon is slightly cheaper price point. Your price per square foot in Mudon would be slightly more advantageous.
What would it be at the moment for a say?
1,200 AD per square foot.
And Lewis on DAMAC?
DAMAC, you're looking at roughly about 1,450 per square foot.
So then you can nip over, literally go across the road into the ranches, and I think some of those now are kind of pushing 2,000, going over 2,000 a square foot. So you're actually getting more bang for your buck, just to be...
Sorry to interrupt. With DAMAC as well, the built-up area is not encompassing all of the garage space. So you may have a 2,700 square foot in DAMAC, property in DAMAC, compared to one in ranches. But the DAMAC one will be or feel larger because it will actually have more internal space. And this is the difficult part in Dubai, right? People are saying, well, I've just been into one at 2,700 over there, and I've come into here at 2,700, and it's completely different.
It's crazy,
Yes.
It is completely different. And it's the same in the UK with the way they measure them as well. you can go into a 1-bedroom apartment there at say 400 square feet, whereas a studio here will be 400 square feet. But like, well, why do they? Because they're just measured differently, and that's the developers and the way they're doing it. So that's a really good point. So similar, Niamh, on the communities and the way they're looking. Standalones, townhouses.
Yep. So Mudon's kind of split up into, there's the Arabellas, there's Arabella 1, 2 and 3. Right. And then there's they're very kind of modern, white, clean finish, more appealing to kind of European, what we would come from, like at home. Yeah. Then on the other side, there's the Al Salam, Nasim and Rahat. They're a more kind of Arabic feel property.
Are these the standalone villas?
So the Rahats are all standalone villas,
I like those. Those are very big.
They're such a good size.
And big plots as well.
You're going up to like 11, 12K plots on some of them, which nowadays it is unheard of. And people, I think more and more, are looking for space. Like all these new communities that are handing over, the properties are really nice, but they're compromising so much on the plot. Whereas, on these Rahats, it's same within ranches. Like you're getting, but again, you're a 5-bedroom ranches on a plot of a 12K plot. You're looking at like upwards of 10 million. Here you're still getting one for 7 million, which... What are you seeing Are you seeing more homeowners, tenants, or just a big mix of both? In Mudon, especially in the kind of Al Salam, Nasim, Rahat side, mostly are owner-occupied properties. Right. Arabella's a lot were bought as investment properties because upon launch they were pretty good pricing.
Arabella's would they be the townhouses, the white townhouses?
The white
I like those. I went into one recently.
They're a really nice finish. You don't need to renovate them at all. So as a landlord, you don't need to really put any money into the property, and you'll know you're going to be able to get a good rent, and it will rent really quickly. It's very rare that you find vacant units over there.
There's a lot of people that as the rental prices have been pushed up, that maybe, I don't know, Palm Jumeirahs and, these kind of ranches, ones that have just gone, some of the prices I'm seeing at the moment are kind of ludicrous. Crazy. There's a few of the clients that have then moved over and just getting so much more money, value for money, with going over to Mudon. Lewis, if I'm an investor, why would I invest in DAMAC Hills over Mudon?
So the return on investments in DAMAC Hills are still very good, even though we are looking at prices that have increased. Obviously the rents have increased alongside those. So you can buy a THL, which is a very, very nice 3-bedroom plus made. It's got a family landing, 2,700 square feet. You can purchase one of those on a single row location for about 4.2 million. Okay. Really popular. When they
How many bedrooms, sorry?
3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms.
Yeah. Really good size properties.
2 bathrooms kind of thing?
No, all en suite.
All en suite.
The nice thing with DAMAC is with the originally handed over properties, they're all en suite in the townhouses. So that's a big plus for obviously families coming through. But you can rent one of those for, at the minute, about 280,000 dirhams. Yeah. So after service charges, you're still seeing a 6.5% return.
Yeah, it's good.
Which is really, really good. Yeah. And when you come to sell it, you're probably going to see some capital appreciation if we continue in this market, and it will sell very easily. When they come up, they sell usually within 2 or 3 weeks if they're vacant and well priced, and they'll rent within probably 5 or 6 days.
Do you guys work closely in that Niamh will speak to a buyer, but she'll be speaking to the buyer, but you'll be thinking, well, you're also going to like DAMAC Hills. Yeah. Would it just be, are you going to be thinking like 90%? To
me, if a client likes Mudon, they would like DAMAC, and if a client likes DAMAC, they will probably like Mudon. Yeah. You will find the one person that is like dead set on what they want. You see that more with kind of DAMAC buyers. I think if someone might be dead set on DAMAC because they want the parks, they want all those extra facilities, then they might be dead set on it. But for sure, all we do is speak every day because we're constantly cross-selling.
Going over.
Exactly.
The park that you mentioned, Lewis, that's a big park. Is that like the kind of, if someone wanted a Dubai Hills park, they would look at a DAMAC Hills park? Or?
Absolutely. So the park itself is really nicely intertwined between all of the different clusters. So if you're in the park side clusters, you're not more than a 5-10 minute walk from the main facilities in the park. And it's got so many different amenities. You've got a fishing lake.
People don't believe you when you say.
Really? Tell people about it. They've got a fishing lake. They've got numerous cricket pitches, football pitches, paddle courts, a horse riding centre. Wow. The main thing is a petting zoo.
A petting zoo?
Yeah. You've got birds, deer.
Really?
A tortoise.
Lions?
No lions yet.
Okay. Peacock as well.
Yeah. And then the jewel of that's got to be the Malibu Bay swimming pool, which is, in essence, it's a big fake beach with coffee shops around it, big wave pool, and people absolutely love that. So that's another draw for people to want to be near.
Would this just be for the residents to use, or do you find people from outside coming in?
So obviously anyone can walk through the park. It's kind of free to use for the park itself. However, any of the facilities within the park, like any of the pools, are just for the villa residents.
Okay.
But if you're in an apartment, you can use like the tennis courts. You can use anything.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
But if you're living in another community, you're not going in to use this Malibu.
No.
You need your access card.
Okay.
So,
okay. Security around both communities, going into each community, or is it just one entrance and?
Everything is fully gated.
Okay.
So you go into the main community, there's a stop. You go into each cluster, there's a stop. And they're quite stringent with their checks.
Yeah.
Some people do get a little bit annoyed because it can be a bit difficult to get into the cluster sometimes.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, if it's someone trying to get into the cluster that is dangerous or whatever, the guy's doing his job.
Yeah.
And it's really good to see that they're not just allowing anyone through without question.
Yeah. I always find that really strange when I see people getting upset with security guards that are saying, well, why are you going there? But you've only got to say, because I'm visiting the owners or the tenants or they're my friends or you're delivering. But some people just give these guys such a hard time and they're just doing their job, right? And they're making it
and they're just ranting at them, shouting, you're like, oh,
I know, it's upsetting actually, because it's just, they're making the place, everyone's moving to Dubai. Probably the main reason is the safety aspect.
Yeah.
Yet we then still don't have the patience to answer someone to tell them actually what we're doing. It's strange. Lewis, you touched on the rental yields. Neve, Mudon, rental yields at the moment. What would you be talking about? What would the entry price be? Let's say on one of these Arabellas and rental price, what yield to be getting? Similar?
So you can still pick up a Type B, which would be the smallest type in Arabella 3, for around 2.4 million.
Size on a Type B?
They're around 1,800 square foot.
Okay.
And you're renting one of those at the moment for 165, 170.
Wow.
So it's still pretty good, yeah.
Are you seeing investors still looking at the moment?
A lot of investors are now looking to sell, to be honest, because a lot of them did pay such good prices when they were buying them. They were buying for like 1. X million. Yeah. And now I think because it is still quite a well-priced family community, it's a lot of like family users now buying in the most of the people I speak to now to buy, they're end users rather than investors. Yeah.
Lewis, you mentioned the Trump golf course.
Yes.
I know it wasn't DAMAC Hills, but I think it was up at Okoya that back a while ago that that Trump was no longer.
The horror story.
Did it stay as the Trump? Did it not stay as the Trump? But I think whether it was the whole issue regarding Trump, and for whatever reasons he was making a few comments, but they kept the Trump at the DAMAC.
Yep.
And it's been massively successful. It's I've been there on a few occasions. Yeah. For food in the clubhouse, and it is kind of it's
a really nice setup,
isn't it?
It's a really fantastic setup. The clubhouse with the views across the course is amazing. The par 3 that they've got there, to be honest, is probably one of the more popular or most popular pay and play courses in the whole of Dubai that I know of.
Really?
Yeah, it's
good value for money.
Really good value for money. It's a nice course. It's floodlit, so you're playing until 10:30 at night. It's quite challenging. I know of multiple societies that play there week in, week out. And then they've recently kind of implemented the Caddy Shack, which is a nice kind of food bar area that, I mean, when we're in between viewings, we'll sit there with our laptop.
Really?
Rather than having to drive back to the office if we've got an hour to spare. Yeah. We'll sit there with our laptop, work, really nice view. And there have been some comments, of course. Why is it the Trump? Why is it the Trump course?
Good comments, or what? I'm being honest. Are they usually positive or negative? Because
it's a mix.
It is a mix.
He is a Marmite kind of whatever anyone's thoughts or opinions are. Is it you like or you don't like?
I had a buyer the other day say, "Is Trump associated to Donald Trump?" And I was like, "Well, it's named after him." And he said, "I won't buy anywhere where his name is branded." Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I mean, it does obviously divide.
I think I'd actually be influenced to buy there if it was.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's at least showing that there's a big corporate golf club that is a global entity within that community.
100%.
So a lot's been invested into that, and it continues to be. So it can't be seen as that much of a negative.
Yeah.
Fine, you may not like the chap himself, but it shouldn't really affect your influence, because you're not buying a Trump property from that company. You're buying from DAMAC in a community that has everything you need.
You mentioned earlier about these properties that people are trying to, these kind of turnkey showcase properties.
Yes.
How are you finding that a lot of people are now buying these in both Mudon and Damac, where people are saying, well, look, it's 7 years old or 6 years old, and maybe the quality is not what I would have hoped it would have been, and therefore there's lots of renovation companies that popped up over the last 3 years. And
absolutely.
You go on to numerous, it seems to be every interior designer's got, this kind of certain look and pastel coloured, and they all look beautiful.
Yeah.
Are you finding lots of people going in and changing them?
Hugely. The nice thing with the DAMAC properties is the way they're constructed.
Yeah.
So they're pillar and brickwork.
Yeah.
So you've got your supporting pillars throughout, and then just brick walls.
Okay.
So lots of people are coming in, buying these properties, and you can change the layout so easily.
Right.
So you can take a 3-bedroom, turn it into a 4-bedroom, a 5-bedroom, break out into a massive master bedroom, turns it into a 4-bedroom, but you've got a huge master suite.
Right.
And there's so many people that are cottoning onto this within DAMAC. The approvals are getting easier because more and more people are doing it. The finishes that you can get, especially with some of the 5 bedrooms on the golf course, absolutely fantastic. And the capital appreciation on those compared to buying them standard, which some people consider to be not the best quality of finish, to then making it and raising it to such a high bar of finish, that's when you can make such a good profit margin on those renovations.
And some of those larger ones on the golf course, what would we be talking at? Would we be talking excess of 20, 30 million?
You're probably looking at around 16 to 18 for the big VD1 units. They're 5,500 square feet on the golf course.
Okay.
But I don't know where the ceiling is going to be, because you've got the VD2 units, which are the biggest 8 bedrooms.
Right.
Those fully renovated could probably fetch 20, 22.
What size
got one
are
that's
those?
currently being fully renovated at the moment on the golf course, and when it's due to be finished, I think it will be around 23
Really?
million.
Yeah. They're 8,400 square feet.
Yeah.
They're enormous.
With an extension then onto that.
And building onto that, you've got the Cavalli Estates.
Yeah.
You've got a new launch called Utopia, where DAMAC themselves have launched 20, 25, 30 million dirham villas that have sold. And they have sold out on the golf course. These are huge 13, 15,000 square foot mansions.
Yeah.
When those are complete, it's just going to bring the area up even further.
So is Cavalli within DAMAC Hills or next to DAMAC Hills?
It's a branding within DAMAC Hills.
Yeah.
Okay. So are these the ones that have been launched or handed over now, or have they been handed over?
No,
they're under construction at the moment. They're handing over, probably going to be end of 25, middle of 26, depending on which property you bought and where it's situated within the cluster.
Neve, I'm a buyer at the moment.
Yeah.
You're speaking to lots of buyers. Everyone's kind of talking about the market and where's it going and what's going on. I think if we look at Dubai, generally across the whole of the world, it's still relatively cheap. And I know a lot of people are going to hear me say that and think, well, you're going to say that because of obviously what you do. But I genuinely believe it. And I've bought properties in the last 6 months, so I can, I'm just speaking. Yeah, I'm just being honest with it. Yeah. So what are buyers saying to you? Are they concerned that they're going in at a high level compared to, Lewis was talking about the COVID times and the prices. I know we were talking off air before we came on here. Yeah. Is it a concern? What would your forecast be?
For me, I think the prices are going to keep steadily rising. Yeah. I don't think they're going to spike what we saw after COVID. I don't think they're going to rapidly spike that way. I think that was kind of unprecedented. But I think in terms of, especially in certain areas, the standard of the properties are going up. There's still so many buyers coming into the market. For every one listing we get, I would say per week, for a well-priced listing, you're going to be getting, sometimes we're getting 4 buyers a day calling about certain units. So that's not slowing down. Yeah. The stock, there's a lot of new communities handing over, but it still doesn't outweigh the amount of people that are going to be coming in.
Lewis, on the prices, would I be right to buy now, or would I be better to wait and hopefully market drops another 5% or drops 10%? Although we haven't seen a drop.
That's the thing, we haven't seen a drop. And I think I've actually had quite a few friends ask me similar.
Yeah.
And I say to them that if you've got the capital to put a down payment down now, and you're looking to be here for the next 10 years, it makes sense to buy now.
Yeah.
If you rent for the next 10 years, and if you're paying 100k a year, which is super cheap rent, you're putting 1 million dirhams into someone else's pocket. If you're here for the long run, you don't need to worry about, there might be a drop in 6 months. There might be a drop in a year. It doesn't matter because you'll still be living in the property. You're not looking to sell it then. So for me, I'm looking to buy myself this year.
Yeah.
I'm looking to buy something for myself, my wife. It's going to be a 3-bedroom, probably townhouse.
Yeah.
And
DAMAC Hills, I hope.
potentially DAMAC Hills. It is on the cards. And that would make my life easier for work as well.
For sure. Or Mudon.
Yeah. And
Rent neither room then.
yeah, I think it's just a positive thing that you've got people like myself in the industry, plenty of people in our office that are still looking to buy, because I'm not here to buy it, sell it in a year, sell it in 2 years.
Yeah.
If you're here for the long run, it just makes sense to buy because you're putting your money into your own pocket, essentially.
I know we can come across as salespeople, but I genuinely do believe that if you are speaking to someone that's convinced it's peak and the market's going to drop, that whatever you say is not going to change their mind. You can put the price per square foot compared to where it was. You can say how many markets in the world are still similar price to what they were 10 years ago.
That's it.
You can put all these different things, but ultimately if they want to buy, they're going to buy. If they don't, they don't. Sure. But I think it would be, you mentioned it earlier, first thing, I think it was, you mentioned about the pilots buying, and that to me is always a good sign. Obviously Emirates is booming, the location's booming. So that's all we have time for today. Thanks for joining us on Dubai Real Estate Unplugged. For advice on DAMAC Hills, Mudon, or any other Dubai communities, don't hesitate to get in touch with our area specialists. They're here to help you on your real estate journey. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your preferred platform to stay updated on all things real estate related in Dubai. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you, Luke.